Oda just revealed Joy Boy's fight with the Ancient Kingdom, where he is literally 1v20 against Imu and his goons.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay calm.
everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
But the bigger reveal starts with our balls deep prediction coming true that the Ancient Kingdom is underwater on the seafloor, proving that the world of islands we see is but a tiny fragment of the overall One Piece planet. Oda's foreshadowing to this was set from beginning of the story, with Long Ring, Long Land, and Water 7 to even ancient Wano. But coming to the present, Vegapunk's yapping continues as we meet the strongest crew in all of Two Piece, Tomorrow Black Pirates, whose aura is so off the charts that he calls Joy Boy Joy Toy. That's the strongest pirate in history, bro. However, I'm gonna be honest, the only relevant thing here is how they are all dressed as the Kid Pirates. There's only two reasons Tomorrow would be dressed as Kid. First is that he expects Kid to be on the rise similar to Luffy back in Sabaody. Second, he wants to leech off someone else's notoriety again, but without the fear of being beaten up, because let's be honest, it ain't like Kid is ever gonna get a W in this series. Furthermore, remember how Tomorrow cosplayed Luffy only for the Straw Hats to emerge powered up from their defeat after 3D2I? Well, this could be Oda hinting once again that Kid is not gone yet and might make an entrance during the final war of One Piece. That one Kid fan just liked the video, I bet. Meanwhile in Wano, we see that Momonosuke recognizes the name Joy Boy from Zunisha and his father's journal. That said, he seems surprised that Joy Boy was a pirate and draws the connection between him and Luffy, which further solidifies the idea that Luffy is this era's Joy Boy. Vegapunk continues by saying that he doesn't have access to all of the poneglyphs, but from what he has read, it is clear that an unbelievably massive war took place in the distant past. A world war which saw Joy Boy taking on an enemy that is currently known as the World Government. Though back then, they were known as the Allied Powers, a coalition of 20 nations which joined together to fend off the Ancient Kingdom. And sure, to all of you who watch Anime Balls Deep every week, this is a pretty common knowledge. But you have to remember that this is big news to the world of One Piece. We can immediately see members of the Marines questioning if they were the ones fighting Joy Boy.
Are we the baddies?
Vegapunk also reveals that Joy Boy and his crew were so strong, the only feasible way to oppose their force was by combining the strength of all these nations. Luckily, we even get to see this fight in silhouette form, where Joy Boy is jumping in the air looking exactly like Gear 5 Luffy, confirming that he definitely had the Hito Hitonomi model Nika. Another interesting detail on this silhouette is that one of the Allied Kings seems to have a big nose similar to Buggy. Guys, this is Buggy's ancestor. Why does he have that nose? Could this be a hint that Buggy has celestial lineage, and the argument him and Shanks have about the North and South Pole as friendly rivals is showcasing a similar clash of ideologies Vegapunk speaks about, which caused the Great War in the past? This ideology would of course be about how to govern the world, or what pirating even means. For example, Imu likely wanted to centralize power as we see with the world government, in sort of a dictatorship. However, Joy Boy understood the corruption that would cause and how it could diminish freedoms for less fortunate areas of the world, especially a suppression of culture. Because if there is one government with one rule, a lot of local traditions start to vanish from the world, which means basically taking out the interesting parts of different regions away. Where in a centralized culture, the differences slowly get taken away, so exploration itself starts to become boring as everywhere feels the same. However, Imu being a big five-head thought of a solution. What if only the centralized government had the power to traverse the lands to govern? Meanwhile, the different cultures stayed within their own bubbles or islands. That's why he flooded the entire world, to not only keep the world interesting, but also strengthening his style of government, which conveniently, by isolationism, gives him all the power. But Joy Boy had a problem with this ends justifies the means approach, where to get future prosperity, you are drowning millions of people's homes and lives, and even then this prosperity isn't guaranteed. Furthermore, you are taking away people's freedom with unnatural means. In this situation, only Imu and the elites have freedom at the cost of the rest of the world. And then of course, this centralization of power by Imu brought what Joy Boy feared: corruption and discrimination. The people at the top being the Celestials, and Imu, as the victors, created a justice which benefited them and belittled everyone else. And even now, things are getting out of hand for Imu because people's dreams never end. You can make travel impossible and put everyone in their own islands, but humans will dream about what's across the horizon, and soon it will start to become reality just like the Devil Fruits. However, whether it be Noland 300 years ago to even Roger, they all put chinks in the government's armor, where now Imu's glass castle of centralized power is crashing down, proving Joy Boy right and Imu wrong. So bro just wants to wash away all of the subjects they rule, who are a constant reminder of Imu's defeat of ideals against Joy Boy, similar to what happened in Great Terminal. The government sitting at the top of their throne have become so separated from their subjects that they consider them insects, which has led Imu to literally try and reset the world and recreate it in a new image, because the first attempt, that definitely worked, right? Imu still doesn't see the flaw that he is the problem. One individual having all this power always destroys. Vegapunk's message also reveals how Imu might have gotten the 20 allied nations to his side to fight the Ancient Kingdom, and that was by using their technological advantage as a fear tactic. You all know about our theory that each of the ancient weapons were created to help the world, but just like the battle Frankies, Imu told the world they were weapons of mass destruction. I feel like I've seen that somewhere before, huh? It's kind of like how nuclear power can be used to create clean energy, but it can also blow up entire cities if used incorrectly. So convincing the other nations that the Ancient Kingdom could use these weapons against them, Imu brought them to his side. Also, a cool way to see the levels of technology the Ancient Kingdom possessed is by looking at Enel's art. Yep, the schematic for its build wasn't something he came up with. It must have originated from this early civilization. However, instead of using an energy source like the Mother Flame, Enel remodeled to utilize electricity. This is why his story leads him to the moon, where there were highly advanced technological creatures such as the Automatas who could have been part of this ancient kingdom many years back. And just like how Luluse Kingdom got zapped to the moon, Moon Gang rise up, these Automatas got zapped there too back in the day. Meanwhile, back in the present, Edison reaches out to Stussy and tells her to lower the barrier, as the Gorosei are simply strong enough to ignore it anyways. And we see proof of this instantly as Saturn and Mars are walking through the lab, destroying everything in their path. Like, this dude's Conqueror's Haki is strong enough to literally destroy the lab, okay? However, Stussy has her own dilemma, because if Stella is dead, she has no more purpose left. As a clone, she was simply protecting Vegapunk as he gave her a purpose and saw her as another human being and not just a clone. But now that he is gone, she is going through an identity crisis similar to how Rob Lucci and CP9 felt when they lost in Enies lobby against the Straw Hats. Things aren't looking much better on the outside either, as the Marines are beginning to create a blockade, meaning the Straw Hats are running out of time to escape, which isn't great as half of the crew still haven't reached the ship. Luffy, Dory, and Broggy are still running from Warkari, who is becoming even angrier as Vegapunk continues his message. Zoro and Jinbei are slowly moving towards the ship, and Five Anji, where is Five Anji? Did Oda forget about Five Anji? Shouldn't he be like near Bonnie scoring points? I see Bonnie, but oh my god, no, not again. Oda, what are you doing to this poor man? I thought he was scoring points with Bonnie. Bonnie is the one saving you. What is wrong with you? Is this supposed to be your guys' number 3 of the Straw Hat crew? Oh, Lord.
It's pretty difficult to put into words how disgusted I am, how depressed I am.
Yeah, Five Anji gotta do something before we leave Egghead to save Bonnie, or his reputation is gonna go even down the drain, as it already is. But I think this chance will happen soon, okay? It'll happen, guys. Trust me. Let me explain how Sanji will have a moment in Egghead, okay? So Bonnie is running out of juice for her future change power, okay? Meanwhile, Venus-Shuro just showcased some insane aura. Like, look at this man's aura. Like, he is slicing through the entire floating island with one swing of his sword as he tries to silence the voices of the life forms inside the lava phase. Imagine Sanji stepping up, fighting him, and defeating him. Honestly, Zoro is on his way, so it's probably gonna be Zoro. Five Anji's still stuck down there. But like, okay, back to the chapter. However, despite the attack, Vegapunk's message continues uninterrupted. Interestingly, rather than saying the Great War 800 years ago ended with Joy Boy's defeat, Vegapunk chooses to say that the Void Century ended this way. This tells us that the war is still ongoing. Imu simply won a battle against the Warrior of Liberation, not the entire war. You guys remember what Blackbeard said about men's dreams never ending? Well, similarly, humanity's quest for freedom hasn't ended. Imu's beef wasn't just with Joy Boy, but the ideal of liberation itself, which has had multiple warriors taking up the charge throughout history. Whether it be Noland, Roger, or even Rox, they all chased freedom in the name of piracy. And all of these people who seeked this dream donned the middle initial of D. Because humanity's chase for freedom never ends, since freedom itself is a dream for us, as we need rules and governance to make sure the bad apples of society don't ruin it for the rest. However, by creating those very systems, we bind ourselves to them. You can't give freedom to every person in the world, because to some people, like let's say Imu, they will be free to oppress others and gain power. But of course, an opposing force is always present, being Nika, or currently he is known as Monkey D. Luffy. Nika is confirmed to be a completely different entity to Joy Boy, not just through Vegapunk's comment from chapter 1114, but also from the silhouette shown with the worship of the sun god in Skypia's flashback. It's also evident from reading chapter 1066 that devil fruits are manifestations of dreams and wishes, where me and Yusuf believe that Nika was once a real person that represented an ideal of true freedom. But after his death, people would worship the sun, which Nika embodied, and eventually their wishes materialized Nika's spirit into a fruit. Like Luffy, after some Nika maxing, the fruit was drawn to Joy Boy, as all three characters fundamentally embody the idea of liberation. However, though it may be cliche, Imu's devil fruit could be the counterpart to Nika, where during his time, the devil and Imu would stand against Nika's ideals. This battle is far greater than just 900 years. Rather, it goes back all the way to the beginning of civilization, when giants were the first people who roamed the earth under one continent. Okay, I think Yusuf came up with that while reading Five Piece, but okay, let's go with it. We also know that these god fruits are zones with their own will and personality. The devil in Imu has been working alongside him in perfect synergy, where it's showcased with Imu's triple Irish, just like Hakubo's spirit in Cavendish. The reason why Imu doesn't care for the lower class people and proceeds to subjugate and kill the masses was because he isn't human. Furthermore, Imu's war had scarred the world in a way which never healed, and this is seen in the very geography of the planet. The only way to travel right now is to make extremely difficult voyages at sea, and because of that, most people never leave the island they are born on. The world has been forced into an unnatural isolation, which could be preyed upon to seize complete control, and that's exactly what happened after the Void Century. However, this isn't what the world was like 1,000 years ago, because back then, large continents spanned the globe, while it only took 100 years for the sea level to rise 200 meters, which isn't a natural phenomenon. You know Big Ben, right? Or maybe the Statue of Liberty or Niagara Falls. Do you know what all of these places have in common? They are just under 100 meters tall. The sea level doubled that in just a century. As the Marines hear this, they are in complete shock, comparing their 60-meter tall warships and immediately understanding why the world vanished. They literally need to be told by commanding officers that they shouldn't be listening to Vegapunk's message and that they need to focus on saving the Seraphims and Cypherpole agents freed by Venus's attack. However, even if they are told not to listen, clearly the message has already been received to some degree, and this very crack Vegapunk has laid out upon the Marine psyche will later be used by Sword and its members like Kobe to change the world government from inside out. Finally, Vegapunk asks the big question. Just how did this flood happen? 200 meters is absolutely insane, so it must have been a man-made calamity, right? Well, if you guys have been watching our reviews weekly, you already know how. For that, hit that like button and go buy some gamer subs using code ABD for 10% off. It's using Uranus, which once again was used against Lulistic Kingdom, rising the sea level by 1 whole meter. We also see Imu in this chapter, who is absolutely livid. As a Monkey Deadbeat Dragon fan, I actually have a PhD in ... analysis, and using that, I can say with about 80% maybe 82% accuracy that Imu's dots mean he's about to throw the controller across the room and and show up at Egghead. And the only person capable of stopping him is, of course, Monkey Deadbeat
I don't find you funny.
Okay, seriously though, Vegapunk has to drop some real lore bombs because we already knew Joy fought the Ancient Kingdom. We knew he was probably a pirate. We knew ancient weapons still exist. And after chapter 1088, we already found out the world was flooding. So what new info has he really revealed? It honestly feels like a recap and concrete confirmation of stuff that was already told to us subtly in the manga. However, I also get that this is the first time the entire world is listening to these truths, hence why every reveal is followed up by reactions. It was a peak chapter nonetheless, but all this recap by Vegapunk is about to come to an end, meaning we will definitely get some new juice next chapter, perhaps maybe the name of the Ancient Kingdom and Imu's face reveal, especially since the final panel, bro, is looking menacingly. Like, what will he do now that his secret is out? Well, if you guys want to know more about Imu and his personality, then watch this banger video on screen right now.